Game 2 in the Coliseum for the Oakland Roots. The Club World Cup might just have a playoff game, and who would be in your all-time Ringer 11 for the Open Cup? That and more on Monday's Morning Kickaround. The crow of David Beckham signals the welcome of Monday's Morning Kickaround, the show where we cover the world's favorite game from the world's favorite country. Coming to you live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. I'm Robert Kerr. He's Jason Davis. Thank you for starting the day with us here. How you doing, Mr. Davis?
I'm good. Mondays always take a little extra. I got to get the engine going, got to get fired up. But here we are. We get to talk about some cool American soccer stories, and I'm ready, I think.
It requires a whole change in mindset. I do like to ask you about your shirts at the beginning of the show. They're usually very themed, and they're on point. What you're wearing today, you don't get to talk about on the radio, of course, but one of our topics is connected to your shirt.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to Oakland Roots a little bit later, not just because they had their second game in the Oakland Coliseum, but because they had a back and forth with their opponent on the day, Las Vegas Lights, over some baseball-related things, and that makes sense, right? Because obviously the Oakland Coliseum, former home of the Oakland Athletics, hence this jersey. This showed up. I didn't know it was coming, so shout out to Oakland Roots for hooking your friend Jason up with a new shirt. I have one already. Really love my old Oakland Roots shirt, but this is a brand new one. And you can tell that they're leaning into this idea of we're the new residents of the Coliseum. This is different. That's a different Oakland. Nobody wants to see your Oakland. People only care about my Oakland. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But this Oakland...
That's some dirty talk there.
This shirt is about the color scheme of the Athletics, so which I like. I mean, I'm a baseball guy. Like, I love baseball. It was my first love before I fell in love with soccer. So this is really cool. This shirt. There's some sublimated things happening on the jersey. You can kind of see a little bit of the texture there. I mean, it looks like it's white, but it's got some flavor to it. So shout out to the Oakland Roots.
The manufacturer logo there kind of makes you look like you're the captain.
Sure. That's Charlie is the manufacturer of this shirt. And I will say this shirt, and I don't know, last time I talked to the people over at Oakland, Tommy Huddle, last time I talked to them, I don't know what I said for size. They said, hey, we want to ship you a shirt. What size are you? And I don't remember what I said, and I actually didn't even check to see. All I know is I put this thing on, I was like, oh, this is a reason to stay in shape. Like, if I want to wear this shirt, I got to keep those miles up. I got to keep running. I got to keep working out because otherwise, it'll be a little too much.
You'll be doing the permanent inhale.
Of course. We're all permanently inhaling. What are you talking about?
Fair enough. Well, that's amongst our topics as Oakland Roots, but we will talk all-time Ringer 11. We're going to pick ours for round 2 of the Open Cup, amongst other things. But before we get the ball officially rolling here on Morning Kickaround, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We've cleared 1,700 on our way to 2,500. I think that's the next goal we should strive towards. So thank you everyone who's already hit subscribe, and be sure, if you haven't, to be the next to do so.
Tell people we're here. Tell people what we're doing. Share this wherever you can. Thank you.
Exactly. And follow along on social media at mkickaround on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. You can write an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com. And we are going to kind of talk about this a bit more on the third segment of the show, but ko-fi.com/morningkickaround. You can coffee.com/morningkickaround. And that is the spot where you can donate as little as $5 to buy us a coffee, and maybe something a little bigger, or a regularly scheduled donation. And we are putting some bonus content over there, and we made a video exclusively for those donating on coffee.com, and we might give you a sneak peek at that as well. More content coming to the coffee for those who have already donated as well. And then also, we're a podcast now, aren't we, Jason?
We're a podcast. I think you can find it. I know you can find us on Apple Podcast if you look for Morning Kickaround. I double checked today. I'm not sure we're popping up everywhere else, but if you want to grab that RSS feed and pump it into your podcast catcher, you can find us and you can listen to us. I've already had people tell me, hey, I really like the show. I like watching on YouTube, but like, say I got to take the kids to school, it's always good to have an audio option for that. And so here we are.
Yeah, pro safety getting the podcast up. So look for that. And I think with all the ways to contact us and find us under the way, let's move on to morning kick arounds, long balls here today. Let's go. Good morning on Morning Kick Around Long Balls to start the day here on Monday, March 31st. Hope everyone's doing well. Long ball number one, MLS review. The international players came back, so it was back to full strength here in Major League Soccer. On Friday's shows, we pick the Fab Four of games you should check out. We got some of them right, but maybe not all of our selections were hits. Let's see, probably the pick of those that we did on the Fab Four was most likely Miami versus Philadelphia. The question of where is Messi's fitness at was answered a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if he was working out with his bodyguard ahead of that big Logan Paul showdown or whatever, which we talked about last week. But Lionel Messi did play, and Lionel Messi scored. And, you know, if Lionel Messi's on the field, it's a reasonable bet that he's going to do something magical or find some way to be involved in the proceedings, and obviously that ended up being the winning goal for Inter Miami. They're first place in the Eastern Conference, jumping over the Philadelphia Union. I don't think there's a lot of shame here for Philly. We know that Miami is good. We know that. I think the bigger question, obviously, is whether or not Lionel Messi is fit enough to play week in and week out. It's already been proven he hasn't been this season, missing an international window for Argentina, something I don't think Lionel Messi begs off international duty unless he absolutely just cannot go.
So I even proposed that he was missing these MLS games in order to be fit for that, and clearly that wasn't the case.
Clearly not. Clearly it wasn't like take away time from the club so he can play for his country. And by the way, Argentina qualified for the World Cup in this last window without Lionel Messi on the field. In fact, they didn't even need to beat Brazil 4-1 in order to qualify for the World Cup because of what happened elsewhere. And maybe that takes some pressure off Messi having to play more for Argentina going into the rest of 2025. And honestly, here's a big question. I mean, just for a moment before we get back to MLS, do we have any real idea of whether Messi intends to play next year in the World Cup or not? Like we don't really know. I mean, he hasn't said he won't, but we don't really know. And again, because his body seems to be breaking down at least on some level, what will be his ability to impact that? And will he kind of move into a super sub role for Argentina, which would be a big step in his career, a big change in his approach. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Javier Mascherano had Lionel Messi, told us that Lionel Messi was likely to play because he was available, and there he is scoring a goal, helping Inter Miami to a victory over Philadelphia.
Two of the games we kind of missed on in our picks were Vancouver versus Toronto, Chicago versus Montreal. Not a lot going on in those matchups. A bit of stalemates in those. LA versus San Diego.
Hold on. Don't give me a second here. This is the message. This is the lesson. Never trust Canada. Don't ever put your faith in anything Canadian. That's what I'm learning from our picks last week because we picked all three Canadian teams in some form, and we missed on all. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Chicago 1-1 with Montreal. It was what it was. Montreal changing their coach. That's something to keep an eye on. The other game scored with 0 goals. I'm wishing for a better Toronto FC. We know Vancouver's pretty decent. Ryan Gauld is hurt. Even though the internationals came back, they were missing their talisman, and that showed up on the field. But, yeah, San Diego LAFC, that one did deliver.
Yeah, sure did. San Diego, I mean, you can't – what was the score there? You're going to have to remind me. That just kind of flew right out of my head.
It was 3-2. It was 3-2 on the day. And San Diego showed some things in that game, right? They showed an ability to take the game to LAFC. It wasn't as though it was a smash and grab kind of deal, right? Those were well-earned goals. That was an advantage that they deserved going into halftime or going up to halftime. They were up 3-1. LAFC gets a goal from Under. No, I'm sorry. Going into halftime, it was 3-2. All the goals came in the first half. I missed that a little bit. But obviously, the chance for LAFC to find the equalizer or maybe even go on to win the game was undermined when Igor Jesus was sent off with that red card in the 53rd minute. So, LAFC can kick themselves a bit because they hurt themselves with the red card and going down to 10. But again, we're seeing San Diego show that they really are good enough to be in this. I think the history of recent expansion teams who have impressed in their first year, you kind of got a sense that a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. Austin, well, I guess that was year 2, but Austin was a bit of smoke and mirrors, their good season.
St. Louis, for sure.
St. Louis, smoke and mirrors. I'm not sure that that's the case. Valakari was just bossing LAFC in that game. Player of the match, goal and an assist, good performance for San Diego.
Yeah, indeed. But the kind of the match that we definitely kind of missed out on, that was probably the entertaining one of them. And I think you kind of changed your mind on Friday last second away from it to include that LA San Diego game. 4-3 Atlanta NYCFC, an absolute crazy one at the Benz. And I was going to say probably 6 out of 7 of these goals was probably have the defenders blushing. There were some bashful, sheepish celebrations in this one. Some bad touches in the defense leading to goals, and a bad own goal. There was quite a few calamities in this one.
Yeah, it was wild. It was one of those games that you would not, if you are a defender of Major League Soccer, like, I don't know what, you don't have to be. Just be a fan. You don't have to defend MLS. Whether other people like MLS should not be important to your personal identity as a soccer fan. Just enjoy the league. But if you are one of those people who's inclined to defend MLS, this is not the game you would show to a football purist. Now, you might show it to somebody who's saying, is MLS entertaining? Is MLS fun? Will I watch an MLS game and get something out of my experience as a casual soccer fan, as a casual sports fan? This game, maybe. Look how wild and open this was, and look at the mistakes that were made, and look at the goals that were scored. But then you would go, yeah, with somebody who was like, oh, this is not proper football, then you wouldn't show them this game.
I definitely uttered "oh boy" a couple times when I was watching this.
Did
like,
you?
Oh boy!
Are you a
okay.
70-year-old man? What is happening?
Well, golly, these guys are having a bad day at the office, is what I said, actually.
Gee willikers, that's some really bad defending back there.
You know me too well, Jason. That's the quote from me.
You are Midwest through and through, my friend. You are Midwest through and through.
Before we move on, fair enough. Before we move on, just it's notable LA Galaxy continue to have a tough time winless out of the first 6 games. I think we all know, we've talked about why, but it's notable the MLS Cup champions having such a hard time.
Well, this is, I think we're going to be talking about some things that have happened with supporters being upset about the state of their teams as it relates to the possibility of somebody getting fired. But I do think you can't leave the Galaxy out of that conversation, even if there's plenty of reason to believe that Greg Vanney shouldn't be fired. I think because of the way that they have started, it's going to be a question as to whether he should be on a list of potential firings at the managerial level in Major League Soccer.
Long ball number 2 here for Monday, March 31st. The Oakland Roots took on Las Vegas Lights in USL Championship action. Most notably, it's the second game in the Oakland Coliseum, the very large and historic former home of the Oakland A's baseball team. And it was kind of keeping an eye on this game because they broke their club record and was one of the all-time championship attendance records in Game 1. Game 2, significantly smaller, more in the range than they had originally planned. I think the stadium set up for soccer, I think, was 15 or 18, and they had in the mid-20s last week, or in the Game 1 at least. This one, I think, was in the teens, more kind of what they were expecting, but kind of what got our eyebrows raised was more the online barbs between the two squads.
Yeah, well, look, a note about the attendance, all right? A note about the sort of come down for Oakland. No shame there's no shame there. There should be no like, oh my God, look at the big drop that they had from 20,000 or 20 plus thousand down to whatever it was with an average of 16.8. And I don't have the exact number from this weekend, but with an average of 16.8
between 2 games, yeah.
Between 2 games, then obviously if they were over 20 the first match, then they're below, they're down in the 12,000 range for this game against Las Vegas. And again, so much was loaded into the soccer celebration that was their home opener, their first ever game at the Coliseum. they have done so much good work in the community building something in Oakland that feels substantial and has roots. No pun intended. I mean, they probably chose that name because of this reason, but they wanted to establish roots in Oakland that went beyond just, hey, we're selling a product, right? Or come out, bring your family out and buy a hot dog and watch some soccer. Like they're trying to be more than that. Obviously, the A's decamping for Sacramento has changed the complexion of sports in Oakland, which leaves a big gap. Now, it's going to be tough for a second division soccer team to step fully into the breach left by a Major League Baseball team with so much history, but there still should be something there. And this led to the back and forth that you're talking about. So let me get rid of this first, and we can show you what happened online. Here's Las Vegas Lights. This is over on Elon Musk's website. Hello, Oakland. We are here in our new baseball team's old stadium because obviously the idea is that the A's are eventually going to be in Vegas. They're not this season. They're playing in a minor league baseball venue in Sacramento, but eventually they're going to be in Vegas. Why Las Vegas Lights? Like, I understand online banter is part of marketing these days, but why? Like that's not the move, right? So then
it's like
we
poking
get
the dead fish on the beach, right? Like,
and then we get the response from Oakland. Are you sure they will be your team? Because who would trust the owner of the Oakland A's at this point? Also, by the way, owner of the San Jose Earthquakes, just to mention this, it's the same guy. Who would trust the ownership of the Oakland A's at this? I wouldn't. Never in a billion years. And then obviously the Roots, just to kind of lean in a little bit, their own here to stay, right? Implying that this is a team that's not going anywhere. And, maybe there's a reason. If you go look at the responses to this post, maybe there's a reason that Oakland Roots shouldn't be saying things such as that because, soccer in America basically is my point, right? And I'm
185 teams that have gone out of business since 1993 or whatever it is.
And also remember, and this is, again, I want to believe, I want to have faith. I do think they've done some incredible things. Everything I see about the Roots is impressive. But they had to move quickly to get where they are. This is a team that was barely. I think they were starting amateur. There was talk about them being like maybe a high amateur team or a NISA team at one point when that thing was getting launched. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, well, wait a second, there's an opening here, and we'll scramble our way. And even playing in the championship rather than League One. I mean, Oakland's a big market. I'm not saying they don't belong in the championship based on the market size. But to be playing in the championship rather than League One and sort of building your way up over the course of seasons and seasons and seasons. I mean, this is what happens in American soccer. You get stood up as a club, and suddenly it's like, well, we got to keep moving forward. We got to keep going to the bigger league. We got to make this bigger choice. And sometimes you sacrifice your identity, right? Ask Detroit City fans how they feel about all the things that have happened to their club over the last 5 or 6 years.
But those two clubs are like a little bit linked in that path that they kind of like, with the landscape that American soccer had provided, they kind of went the path that they kind of had to, and look where the other destinations they could have landed are compared to the USL Championship.
Yeah. But by the way, worth noting in terms of the result, it was a 0-0 draw at the Coliseum. So no goals, shutouts pitched by both sides, I guess is kind of, we want to keep the baseball thing going. But,
I like, a good, clean game, perfect game by two starting goaltenders in this tilt.
Sure.
Brandon Brasted in the comments there talked a bit of trash. Didn't lose, motivated, both supporter bases, like an 8.2 out of 10. That's fair.
Okay,
enough.
So let's real quick, and I don't want to.
Thank you to Jose for the sticker.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge general USL Championship results, and lots of really interesting things happening in that league beyond just this, right? We were focusing on Oakland because I got the shirt, because they moved into a big venue, because they're trying to do some things in terms of attendance, and it's worth talking about that. But when we talk about the league itself, the way that it's moving forward, the result, we want to obviously address the fuller picture, the results across the league, and all of those things. I guess what I was going to say though is, do we need to come down opinion-wise on whether this banter is good, bad? Does it ultimately matter? Should Vegas be taking a shot when they arrive? Does Oakland need to clap back? Does there need to be any of this? Is that something that makes it more interesting for supporters? Because, again, if you go and read the replies to both of those posts. The first one being by the lights, and then obviously the Oakland one where Here to Stay with their team photo. There's a lot of people, undermining, being critical of the lights for taking a shot to begin with, and basically talking trash to any fan base. And then obviously with Oakland, it's like, are you sure you're going to be there? What about your stadium problems? What about this? What about that? What about the other thing? And it's like, does any of this bring us positivity, or is it all kind of rooted in negative vibes?
I think any sort of connectivity, I think people remember emotional reactions, and people saw that and felt a certain way, both soccer and otherwise, just general sporting interests. I think that just like the whole pro row plans and everything like that, I'd rather see something than nothing at this point. And if you get more people talking about the games and more attention on it, I mean, it might touch a sensitivity. I mean, but also it's an elephant in the room, to be honest, too. And better to bring that out in the open, kind of talk about it. It's a unique connection. How many people have that connection between Oakland and Las Vegas, where they're exchanging teams and there's all sorts of multiple layers of stadium issues. So I think it's fair. I mean, and at the same point, maybe that becomes a rivalry, and I feel like more connective tissue is probably for the best. I mean, It's definitely not sunshine and daisies to be poking at those sort of issues, when definitely the A's have an emotional connection to a lot of people there. I remember still some of the broadcasts of the last home games from the Oakland A's, and there was lots of people in tears over that. That meant a whole lot to a lot of people. So not necessarily classy, but at the same time, is that even part of Las Vegas Lights' brand too? They their original platform was like, we're going to try to be the tackiest kind of team, with their marketing and all that. I mean, they did money drop out of a helicopter. I mean,
the ownership has changed, and I think maybe there should be a different approach, because that's there's a different set of people in charge. Brett Lashbrook was the guy who was sort of behind that Bill Veeck style of marketing in Vegas, and a lot of people tell you that was the wrong way to go. All right, I want to just acknowledge some things that are happening in USL, in the championship rather. We still have two unbeaten teams 4 rounds into the season. Louisville City, no surprise, very good team. They beat Detroit City. Sorry to all my Michigander friends who obviously would have liked to have seen that go the other direction. And San Antonio FC, they went to Lexington and won 3-2, and they are perfect on the year so far, and looking like the class of the Western Conference, +5 goal difference, win. So interesting things happening in the USL Championship. Maybe at some point we can do a bonus review or something else and talk more about the results.
Long ball number 3 here for Monday, March 31st. A very unique story came out over the weekend. FIFA proposes Club World Cup playoff for Club Leon's vacated spot in this summer's Club World Cup. If you did not catch the news that Leon was kicked out of the tournament for breach of the multiple club rules for FIFA. So Pachuca and Leon have the same owners. Leon got axed, so FIFA's proposing a 1-game playoff between Club America and LAFC, and looking to see why these two teams would qualify for this potential playoff game. LAFC would participate as runner-up to Club Leon in the 2023 CONCACAF Champions League, through which Leon had originally qualified, and Club America would participate as the top-ranked team in FIFA Club World Cup Federation ranking, through which qualification is also determined.
Yeah, this comes after. Well, so first of all, important to note that Club Leon has a case in front of CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sport, where they're trying to get the decision overturned, the decision to kick them out reversed. It's also worth noting on some level that James Rodriguez has come out calling this a grave injustice. He plays for Leon now.
Yeah, I think, didn't he join Leon essentially in order to play in this competition?
He may have. That may have been a major selling point, and he's called it a grave injustice. We all believe that. We won on the pitch. The club and the players are hurt by this, thinking about this. If we're out, it's not fair. The team that would replace us would be stained. Football would be stained. Ooh. So many fans have planned to travel for the tournament. How do you tell them that they can't go? I have a lot of questions about all of this. It's odd. I think FIFA has to get their things together. Football is stained by this. I don't know if he said these things in English or Spanish. I'm reading them at The Independent, so they've been translated. But, obviously some things carry different import depending on the language. But it's certainly interesting, Robert. And go ahead.
Stained is very strong language, but him being compelled to write this, obviously career-wise, he wants to be in a big tournament and go into Leon. Kind of makes sense that he'd want to do that. But it kind of makes me feel like maybe his family already bought travel tickets, like plane tickets, and they're already planning to attend the game, and he's upset that they won't be able to.
And I'll add some extra comments from Andres Guardado, who also plays at Leon these days. He said, the teams raising their hands for the right to compete in our place should be ashamed of themselves. It is a brutal injustice. If anything has done things wrong, it is FIFA. Multi-club ownership in Mexico has existed for many years, and FIFA still allow us to compete. I mean, there's something to be said, like, for...
And it's not new, yeah.
Why is this only all coming down now? Why did it take so long to make decisions about this? And why is Leon's place suddenly up for grabs? I wonder. I mean, look, I'm not saying that LAFC or Club America, for that matter, wouldn't want to play in the Club World Cup. I mean, they probably do. But do they really want to have to do a playoff to get... I mean, with all the games that are coming, with all the things that they've got on their plate, do they really want to do this? Now, the reporting on this comes from ESPN, Jeff Carlisle and Lizzie Bescherano reporting. LAFC would participate as runner-up to Cleon. You already read this, actually, in terms of the statement that came out yesterday from FIFA. But they originally reported this, and then there was the statement. So it is... It's fascinating.
But the follow-up quote I didn't read was the winner of the playoff would qualify unless legal proceedings rule otherwise.
Right. So the question is, did the game happen before CAS's decision, in which case Leon could be reinstated and there being a game for nothing? Or do you do it after CAS has decided, which we don't know when that would be? And again, that thing is rapidly approaching the Club World Cup. So there's no clear. This is all kind of messy and ridiculous, just like the Club World Cup itself, I imagine. I'm not sure...
It's wild. I think we're only like 3 months away.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of buzz for that thing right now. Look, I'll say this. Again, if you take away this whole players are being ground into dust, which we've talked about occasionally, and maybe some of that, I would absolutely be up for an LAFC Club America game for the right to go into the... Like, I cannot imagine, it's not a CONCACAF Champions Cup final or something like that. I'm not sure there is a one-off game. I mean, we had the Campeones Cup, right? We've had that a couple times.
Yep.
It's been fun. Atlanta won one of them. I can't remember what happened with
Columbus won one.
You wonder if the Mexican teams really care about it, or if the MLS. You don't really know what the value is. We do not have, and we have a Leagues Cup final. I know Leagues Cup is a thing and whatever, but come on. If you've got this on the line, your opportunity to go to the Club World Cup and represent CONCACAF, will there have been a bigger one-off game between a Mexican and an MLS side? Because the CONCACAF Champions Cup is a two-legged affair. You play 2 games to determine who the champion is of the region. And as I said, those other one-off games, like even Leagues Cup, it's like, what is that? Do we even think this is important? And I don't know that I love the Club World Cup, but if Manchester City is going to be there and all these big clubs from Europe are going to be there, certainly these clubs will want to be involved. It could be huge.
I mean, every team, even if it doesn't go well, want to have their team reported on and covered in the same sentence of the legendary teams around the world.
Let me bring this in from Andrew. If this would have been proposed a month ago, the playoff would have been LA versus Crew. Cucho wouldn't have been sold. This is, I imagine he's saying that because of the way the rankings in CONCACAF have changed, Club America moving up, it would have ended up being...
Yeah, that's dirty fool there a little bit.
That's a good question. I mean, would Columbus have held on to Cucho Hernandez because of one opportunity, one game to try to get into the Club World Cup? Would they have said no to what Betis was offering? I don't know. And Cucho probably, it would have been on Cucho too. If Cucho wants to go, it's really hard to hold on to a player who wants to go. So he might be right. It certainly does make you think about what could have happened if this was proposed in a different way.
Yeah, we shall see what happens, but definitely interesting times. Plenty of issues swirling around this, and it's wild that they gifted that they gifted Inter Miami a spot for inventing the Supporters Shield winner being a spot, and then now a team is last minute kicked out.
Did they just say, oh yeah, okay, I guess it is.
They won the Supporters Shield, and then the week after that, it was like, oh, actually, the Supporters Shield is a qualifying trophy there. But yeah, Club World Cup. We're interested to see. We have to figure out a way to test the heat scale for the Club World Cup.
By the way, I'm going to say this. I think multi-club ownership in general is shady and yucky, and I don't like it. Right? I saw that Liverpool may be trying to get into the multi-club ownership game by buying Malaga or something. It doesn't make me. I don't like it. I don't like City's groups. I don't like Red Bull. I don't like Grupo Pachuca. I don't like any of it. But you cannot have a sliding scale. You cannot be making what seem to be arbitrary decisions. I do think it's kind of ridiculous that if they earn their way in, Club Leon's not going to be able to participate. And why is it Leon and not Pachuca? Like, what is that a ranking situation? I mean, I don't even want to get into that. Let's just move on.
So just one last question. Historically, who I mean, is Pachuca the favored, the more popular team, the two in the multi-club ownership? Is that a fraught question? I mean,
well, it's called Grupo Pachuca. It's not called Grupo Leon, is it? I don't know,
fair enough. All right, we'll move right along. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Click subscribe on the channel if you haven't done so already. You're increasing this MK Ultras community, and as more folks subscribe and follow along, the conversation just gets better and better and better. So thank you, everyone, for subscribing, and then be the next to do so if you haven't already. Find us on social media at MKickaround. The things on the screen, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. We also have a coffee page, coffee.com/morningkickaround. There's bonus content there, but that's where you can financially, donate to the show, $5 or any amount that you wish, one time or regularly scheduled. We are going to kind of give a sneak peek at one of the segments that was only exclusively on the coffee page. And we're a podcast now. So look up Morning Kick Around anywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can even write us an email and say, hey, I couldn't find you in this, and we'll figure out how to get you on there. And I want to pull a comment from one of our MK Ultras just because it's a compliment and, brought a smile to me. We have in the comments, what's his name? I got to scroll up. Del Morva, giving us compliments on our channel and our work ethic. So thank you for those words of encouragement. And the show is going to keep on growing and growing and growing. So keep on subscribing and tuning in and following along wherever you're doing so. We're going to catch our breath and come right back with the very hottest of topics here on Morning Kick Around. Hot topic here on Morning Kick Around Monday, March 31st. The hot topic of the day, Major League Soccer. Which coach is going to be the first to find the exit door?
Second.
We're going to...
Second.
Oh, yeah. My goodness. It's
Second.
going so fast. The next. Which MLS manager is the next? Montreal is so trigger happy. They already beat me to the punch. Courtois... being dismissed in Montreal already. His interim manager got a draw. But we bring this topic up because one very tenured Major League Soccer coach is got a lot of pressure on him, and the fans are speaking out about it.
Yeah, the most tenured manager in Major League Soccer. I believe his employment goes back, I want to say 2011, 2012. That would be right around the time that the Kansas City Wizards became Sporting Kansas City, if I'm remembering correctly.
There's a Wiz era, isn't there, in between those two?
No, there's no Wiz era between.
That's
before that. Yeah, Well, you had the Wiz, then they got sued, they became the Wizards, and then around 2011, 2012, 2009. My bad. I shorted Peter Vermes a couple of years. He took over in 2009, if I've got this right there. So, and now look at the standings, right? Look at the start of the season for Sporting Kansas City, and it's not just that. You can go back just a little bit in history and see that this is not a team. I'm talking about last season. This is not a team that like finished the year okay, and then just had a bad start, and now they've got to figure it out. They are 0-12-1 in their last 13 games. Is Sporting Kansas City?
Say that again. Say that again for those in the back.
They have not won a game in their last 13. 0, 12, and 1. I believe that is one draw out of their last 13 matches. They have a single point this season. So that is their one result in the last 13 games under the leadership of one Peter Vermes. That draw, by the way, a 3-3 with Minnesota a couple weeks ago.
I feel like I can hear like a collective gulp from a whole fan base hearing that read out loud.
Here is the statement that just came out this weekend. Kansas City Cauldron, South Stand supporters groups, obviously, after this loss to Dallas, in Dallas, on Saturday. It's a bit of a long one here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. They do give Peter Vermes the respect that he deserves for the work he has done. He did win an MLS Cup in Kansas City. Let's not forget that. It says, for over 2 decades, Peter Vermes has been a defining figure in Kansas City soccer, from his time as a player with the Wizards to his transformation of Sporting Kansas City into an MLS powerhouse. Championship victories, commitment to defensive identity, winning culture, blah, 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 blah. However, there was where it turns, Robert. When you write however, history and loyalty cannot be shields against accountability. The trajectory of this club on the field has become unacceptable, and we can no longer stand by while mediocrity overshadows our once proud legacy. Ooh. It mentions declining results, ambitions dwindling. Fans have been expected to tolerate repeated disappointment with no meaningful change in approach, lack of urgency, lack of adaptation, lack of accountability. This is not about a single bad season. It's about a pattern of failure that has been allowed to persist without consequence. And they say they are not going to abide by this anymore. It says Peter Vermes must resign as manager. This is not a request. It is a demand from a fan base that refuses to watch its club wither under outdated tactics and unchallenged authority. Ooh. His tenure has run its course, and a fresh vision is required. Now, first of all, what the outdated tactics is a wild accusation. What does that even mean? Like, how do you describe outdated tactics? He's not playing with 6 forwards, and this is not Scotland 1922 or something.
They're playing the old boy rules.
What are they talking about with that?
Maybe he unchanging, maybe too structured. Maybe he's playing the same way he did a long time ago. Is that true?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think you should be throwing around accusations about tactics. You can talk about results. The results are there. They're glaring. They're obvious. It's not been good enough. I'm always skeptical of supporters groups making demands. It's like, if you go out, watch the team, I don't know. This is a weird thing to kind of step into.
You're stepping into gatekeeper world here.
It's not. I'm not gatekeeping them being fans. I'm not gatekeeping them caring. I'm just saying it gets weird when you write a letter and, all these things. Go and boo the performance. Go on radio and yell about your manager. Post on social media individually. Those things are all fine. This kind of thing just, I don't know.
Okay, with that in mind, because so you're saying this is a blanket statement. So you're saying there's probably individuals within this collective that may or may not feel exactly this way for the demand. It's possible.
I mean, I think it's really hard to argue that anything is good with Kansas City right now. So I don't know that there are many people within the supporters groups that are like, yeah, Peter should stay. He had a bunch of built-up credit. Look, this is a business, and it is a business, but this is also this is a results-based business, I guess what I was going to say. And when the results are bad, there is an argument that a change needs to happen. And when you watch Joey Saputo pull the trigger on firing Laurent Courtois 4 matches into a season, or you see Philadelphia say, you know what, Jim Curtin, you achieved a bunch of stuff here. By the way, he was the second longest tenured manager in Major League Soccer before he was fired at the end of last season. When you see a Philadelphia make a decision like that, a brutal one, one that some people didn't agree with, you see that's on some level that's ambition, right? There could be an incompetence behind those decisions occasionally, sure. But there is an indication that we want to be better, and we think we can be better than what we are right now if we make a change. And what this seems to indicate, when you are 0-12-1 in your last 13 games, when you sit at the bottom of the table collectively in Major League Soccer, CF Montreal, with their draw this weekend, now has moved above Sporting Kansas City in the collective table, 30th out of 30. Wow. where is the accountability? To the point of the letter, where is the accountability? And if we're going to make a little bit of a ranking here of coaches who whether or not there's always a context to it. Do you think the club has the stomach to make a change, Robert? That's always a question. And I'm not sure Sporting Kansas City does.
I mean, Peter Vermes has more than one job and more than one role at this club.
He does not now.
No?
He does not now. They brought in Mike Burns to take over the general manager part that Peter Vermes was carrying for so long. And the stories out of Kansas City and the reporting out of Kansas City is this makes life so much easier for Peter Vermes. And he's so thrilled to have Mike Burns in place to help him with all of this. Now, I suppose you could give Mike Burns some runway and say, well, he hasn't been there very long. He hasn't been able to really get his fingerprints on this team in terms of the roster build. It's not really on Mike Burns. Okay, but it is on Peter Vermes. He was the one in charge of those things before, and he's in charge of helping the team win the games on the field, and they are not doing that. It's real. I don't want people to be fired. I don't want people. I'm not screaming about, oh, Peter Vermes, he has to go. Like, I don't want him to be fired, but it's really hard to argue he shouldn't go when things look like this, because now it feels as though you are just afraid of moving the furniture. You're afraid of making changes because he's so entrenched as the guy there in Kansas City. Maybe he needs to step aside. Because they call for resignation.
Yeah, that's actually that eases the burden on the club if he does it himself, because they would really be tested on how to decouple. I mean, do you offer him a different role and be like, hey, coach, you might need to step aside, but that might be the easiest or the least painful for the club, because obviously there's plenty of seasons. When was the last time they had like an astounding achievement laden season? So like that pressure's got to be building, and it's almost like the emperor's got no clothes sort of a situation. It's like, clearly, I mean, obviously there's been achievement in the past, but that is a distant memory at this point, and so it's definitely been a slow-moving ship. When he probably looked around a little bit nervously when Curtin was let go at Philadelphia, because that was the most like staunchly entrenched coach at that time. He's kind of out on a bit of a limb here, I guess. The fan group trying to put some pressure on, and probably from these chairs that we sit on, we want a Sporting Kansas City to be better, right? I mean, we don't want them to go year on year having to be bad. And for context, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 other teams in the league that haven't won a game yet either. So there's more contestants for a coach to get let go beyond Peter Vermes. But if we're going to make this segment about who's next, logic, not necessarily history, but logic would point you to the direction of Peter Vermes.
Yeah, I would say that. Now, this is Major League Soccer. So there is always, oh, well, they'll just get hot in July and August and September and they'll make the playoffs or whatever, or they'll have a good month somewhere and they'll fit. So, look, the most recent success for Sporting is 2023. They went to the Western Conference semifinals, I believe, something like that. They lost to Houston, who went on to lose to LAFC in the conference final. LAFC went on to lose to Columbus in the MLS Cup final. That you remember that one. So, and they finished 8th in the conference that season, right? They beat San Jose on penalties in that play-in game. They beat St. Louis over 2 legs in the first round of the playoffs. And then again, they lost to Houston 1-0. I believe that game, in Houston. Houston was a higher seed. I mean, so you can say, like, if you're being kind to Peter Vermes, you can look at that and say, well, like, he's got a recent history of making a deep run in the playoffs, or a semi-deep run in the playoffs. So is that a reason to keep him around? Because it's Major League Soccer, and all you got to do is make the playoffs. And I guess I'm kind of wish casting here, but I'm ready for, and I don't think this has happened on some level, but I'm ready for teams to hold their managers to a higher level of accountability. Like, it shouldn't matter that maybe you can make the playoffs in 8th place at the end of the year if you're Peter Vermes. It should matter whether or not you can win a game right now. And you can't. He can't win a game right now.
And that's tough for anyone in any job if you were literally finding zero success for months on end, for matches on end. It's hard for anyone to keep a job like that, and especially in such a results based line of work. You've got your idea finger up. What you got?
I have my finger up because thanks to Nerdy Soccer Guy, I have just checked on Blue Sky, and Tom Bogert has reported that Peter Vermes has been
Saying
fired.
it? Oh my
As
gosh.
we are talking about him, this news has just broken. 16 years on the job, and he has just been fired as we bring this up, and that's
Pour one out.
yeah. I mean,
Pour one out.
again, you cannot say it wasn't coming. I think it's okay to say it wasn't coming. He shouldn't be the manager of Sporting Kansas City anymore. They had to make a change. Things were broken and not getting better. And also say, man, it's sad that Peter Vermes finally lost his job because he was an institution there. And he did have some success. But this is a what have you done for me lately business. And he has not done anything of note, of enough note, recently. So that's now 2 managers in the first 5 rounds of the MLS, 6 rounds of the MLS season, whatever we're in. That's pretty remarkable. One of them you can chalk up to Joey Saputo. The other one is, wow, the Sporting's just bad.
That's wild, actually. Opposite ends of the bookcase there, as far as the longest tenured coach, right after the quickest, one of the quicker firings in recent memory. And so
we should go overtime a little bit on this. I know we're gonna give you guys our Ringer 11 for the Open Cup that we put together. But just because now the guy we had at top of our list is off the table, he is now fired, according to Tom Bogert. Who would be next? Before we did this, I mentioned that Greg Vanney has to be included, even though I don't think he's going anywhere. And his recent success is a championship. So you just say, okay, we'll give him some time to figure out a roster that has been upended by the offseason. I mean, otherwise, is Ben Olsen in any danger with the start that Houston has had?
I think that they'll hold faith. I think Ben Olsen has enough cachet to hold on a little bit longer.
I mean, they lost Ache, they sold Coco Carrasquilla, they're working on some things there. Maybe you let him have the transition. Brian Schmetzer has not started well. They're on 6 points through 6 games. It's not nearly as disastrous as some of these other teams. They haven't started well. Brian Spencer's not going anywhere, though, right?
No, he's another long tenured one. So with Vermes gone, there's you don't want to necessarily be the longest lasting one.
No wins in Toronto for whose name I'm like Robin Fraser. No wins in Toronto for Robin Fraser. But that's a broken system, and he's got to fix that too. As you give him credit and let him or give him time, right?
Yeah, and we actually, New England, we didn't talk about this at the top of the show, but New England got their first win, a 2-1 win over Red Bulls, and I know that there was some talk on Friday seeing if this was going to be their coach's last one at
they're
charge.
They're gonna have to put something together for a couple of. There's a chance that they could lose next week and Porter could be gone, because again, this is not, Porter does not have the obviously much of a tenure in New England, but his tenure's not good. Like, his history at the club is not good. And if they can't figure out a way to significantly improve this season, then I would imagine that Caleb Porter could be next.
But, okay, so amongst those, who would you say is more likely, Caleb Porter or Robin Fraser? I mean, if you're going to, is that a coin flip?
I think Robin Fraser is going to get some more time. They're not going to fire him 6 games into his career as Toronto FC manager because they don't really have an obvious place to go. Porter, I imagine that behind the scenes there's been some discussions and that they are talking about, what their backup plan would be in New England or what direction they would go in. I do think they want some stability there because it's not that long ago that the Bruce Arena, Richie Williams thing popped off, and they would like to have some, but I'm not sure they hired the right guy for that is the question I would have. I will throw DC United in here. I hope Troy Lesesne holds on to his job for a little while longer. They have not started well. And then everybody else, I mean, Paulo Mastroeni's not going anywhere. Bruce Arena's not going anywhere. We're still in the early days of Ronny Deila. And then every one of these other teams, you sort of talk about either a new manager or having some success in the early going.
But there are some candidates for sure. There's some hot seats. But in case you're just joining us, the breaking news as we were talking about the Major League Soccer coaching hot seat, Peter Vermes was mutually parted ways.
No, he was fired. Let's be honest. He was fired.
Well, I was just going to the press release that came out literally 3 minutes ago.
I know that, but it always says that. Maybe he decided to resign, but I find that very difficult to believe considering he is a very proud guy, always believes he can fix it. And I think this was I think this was a fight. I think it was like, Peter, come on, this isn't good. We got to let you go.
So his accomplishments at the 2013 MLS Cup and Lamar Hunt US Open Cup. So they did a double in 13, as well as winning Open Cup in 2012, 15, 17. And Vermes guided Sporting Kansas City to 11 playoff appearances, including 8 straight from 2011 to 2018, and 4 first place finishes in the regular season. So Peter Vermes, longest tenured coach in Major League Soccer, out after the 6th week and 13 matches without a win. All right, interesting stuff there happening as we talk about it, but subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. Morning Kick Around on YouTube. The number's doing great. We're over 1,700, working towards 2,500 and then 5,000. Follow along on social media at MKickaround, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. Write us a note, morningkickaround@gmail.com. Support us with a little bit of cash, coffee.com/morningkickaround. You can buy us, a coffee at just a $5 donation point. You can do something much larger if you wish, or something maybe monthly or semi-weekly or something like that. Coffee.com/morningkickaround. And we're a podcast now. So search for Morning Kick Around wherever you get your podcasts. Morning Kick Around, now a podcast. We're going to take a second or two to catch our breath and come right back with American Soccer is Weird here on Morning Kick Around.
All right, we're recording. We're not going to do an intro. This is just for special people who give us a little bit of cash to support the show. So this is Robert and I, in the spirit of the Des Moines Menace, bringing together a team that included a bunch of ex-pros, a bunch of guys recently retired. They did win last night as we're recording this, right, Robert? They won last night? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, on the back of 2 Sasha Kleshchen penalties, they were able to beat Sporting Kansas City 2. So it was future pros against the former pros, and the former pros edged them out in...
That's a good question. Okay, right. So how many of the Sporting Kansas City 2 players are not on professional contracts? They're all pros in some regard. Here's their lineup, by the way. This is Des Moines Menace's lineup. Lucas Rosa, I think, is one of the few non-ringers. Matt Hedges, who, by the way, says he's not actually retired. He just doesn't have a contract right now. Ozzy Alonso, Victor Ulloa, who just retired last year, I think. Justin Miram, Benny Feilhaber, Dax McCarty just retired. Sasha Kleshchen, the guy who was the architect last year, and now with Benny Feilhaber put this team together. AJ De La Garza, which stinks. I love AJ De La Garza as a player. I wish he was available for our team that we're putting together. Mm-hmm. Bradley Wright Phillips and Enzo Carvalho. And I can't really see the bench there. Felipe Hernandez is on the bench. I can barely see it. Mikey Ambrose is on the bench.
Yeah, low key on the bench right there. That's quite the athletic burst there.
Yeah,
coming off the bench in the Open Cup.
So let's do this together. Let's you and I put together our attempt at this, because obviously some guys are off the board. Right, all those guys are playing for Des Moines. We're not picking those guys. They're already under contract, so to speak. That would be tapping up, I guess, for our ringer U.S. Open Cup team. But what do we think?
A couple of those, like you said, a couple of those are taken. I would have. Justin Miram was on that Des Moines team. He's like a local legend around here that would be an ideal pick, and has bounced around to some Open Cup teams in the last couple of years.
Yeah, would have liked to have him. Yeah, who's your first pick?
This is a fun one. I'm going to go big. Number 1, Didier Drogba.
Okay. So we will, you can see I already searched up Clint Dempsey. We could put Clint in our team, but.
And our guest this week, talking Open Cup, Josh Hackela, did pick Clint. So we could give him a guest pick somewhere along the lines here.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't think we have room for. Well, we'll talk about it. Maybe we can figure out a formation that can fit in Deuce to go with Didier Drogba. Look, anybody has any issues with the perceived fitness of these players, please let us know. But we're trying to be fairly recent, right? Drogba's not too far removed from his playing career. Can we go at the back? I think we might have some. Who's the goalkeeper that fits in this team?
It's not an MLSer. One that comes to mind is the DCFC goalie that just retired, Nate Steinwasser, had quite a few incredible Open Cup moments. But I'll let you throw in a name there too.
I do. But that's the thing. I cannot think of an MLS goalkeeper recently retired. Man,
with what you said earlier in the week about Guzan, maybe he should be in there.
Nick Raimondo, too far removed, maybe.
Ooh.
Too far removed. 2019. That's too far. I think we can't do Nick.
Is Mira?
That's an interesting one. I just thought about that. We can do Ryan Mira. Let's do Ryan Mira, who did have some moments as an Open Cup hero for the New York Red Bulls, I think. You know?
I was going to say, is Mitch, in that vein, is Mitch Hildebrand still in the league?
I don't know if Mitch, Jeff Attinella also recently retired. That's a good one. Former Portland Timbers goalkeeper. Luis Robles, I think he retired 2020. It's been too long for Luis Robles. Been sitting at a desk too long. I don't think you can get him up and get him fit in time.
Robles would be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be a good sport on like some high school field too.
Yeah. I think he would be.
Small crowd.
I think he would be nice. Okay. I think we're okay. I think I'm okay with Ryan Mira. Okay. I think I'm okay with Ryan. Maybe there's a slight upgrade and we'll let the people respond here. But we have so much team left. We've got to keep moving. Now you had some center backs, and I think I threw one in the mix. Who are your center backs? And we may change the formation, but just right now it's a 3-back system.
We were playing with a few names, but the one that came to mind that seemed fun was Roman Torres.
Roman Torres. Now again, okay, I want to make sure that this is clear too. Now it says Atletico de San Luis. Roman Torres, you have verified that former Seattle Sounder Roman Torres has retired.
Yeah, in the FOTMob database, there's 3 different Roman Torreses, and the one that played for Seattle Sounders and went to the World Cup with Panama is retired. Or
okay,
it hasn't been on it doesn't list him as an attached team since 2021. So,
and since I can't pull up profiles here, I'm assuming that is the Atletico de San Luis Roman Torres. Well, whatever. His name is Roman Torres in our team. That's all that matters. Now, okay, I said I think Steve Birnbaum deserves a look in this team. Just retired, I believe, last season. Steve Birnbaum, longtime captain of DC United. So I'm throwing Steve Birnbaum into my team, into our team. This is the combined, and then maybe we need to come up with a name here. We can obviously we're going to have to go find a team that's entered into the U.S. Open Cup. Otherwise, what's the point of all this? But this is the MK Ultras. Open Cup entry, right? Okay. Let's see. What else we got for center backs? Or you can move on. Maybe it doesn't matter here.
Well, a name we can debate on the position because he played a couple, but I think he'd be a really fun addition and really good sport would be Jeff Larentowicz.
Okay. How long has it been since Jeff Larentowicz played?
It's been a couple of years. I think he might have retired just in and around COVID. But I can double check on that. But I feel like he would be a guy that would remain fit. Like I don't think he doesn't seem like someone that would slack off.
Now here's an argument for going to a 4-back system. Giorgio Chiellini retired 2 years ago. Now I will leave it up to you to decide if Giorgio Chiellini is actually match fit, Robert. That's the big question.
Well, he's been professional for up until more recently than a lot of these guys. But I don't know if he's been fit to make. I mean, when's the last time he played a full 90-minute match? It's been quite some time.
Yeah, maybe we can make Giorgio Chiellini a bench player for now. I don't have an option to put a bench in here, but let's just for a moment put Chiellini to the side. We can run with this 3-back system. Now we need wing backs, so we got to find those guys. I do have a couple of thoughts on that. Do you have anybody you want to throw out, or is it my turn to name
Why don't you
somebody?
do the next one?
Okay, so I really love the career of Steven Betishore, who won, I think, cups with a couple of different teams while he was in Major League Soccer. He's 38. He last played in 2023 for the Rapids. So I'm going to put Steven Betishore, who is a right-sided player. So I think I'm going to have to be, have to be accurate here. I don't want to just like cheat and maybe throw him in on the left side because I know that might be a tougher spot to fill than the right side. But Steven Betishore, any concerns with Steven Betishore?
None whatsoever. I think that's a good shout.
Okay. All right. You wanna throw out a name? Who you got? Give me somebody.
Let's add another fun one to the mix. Let's put in Jermaine Jones.
Jermaine Jones. Wow. Okay. Now we are keeping this to guys who have played in Major League Soccer, right? That's our general vibe here. Okay. So Jermaine Jones.
He single-handedly improved the outlook for 2 different Major League Soccer teams.
Yes, okay. I think that is a fair statement. All right. Other midfielders. Do we have? I might need to rely on you here because
he is an upper statesman. You can kind of arm wrestle me on this one, but he was just so smooth, and he played until somewhat recently. Ignacio Piatti.
Ignacio Piatti. Now he's an attacking player. Nacho Piatti. You're gonna have to tell me, how old is Nacho Piatti?
He just turned 40 in February.
Ooh, I think we're pushing the upper limits here.
All right. I'll take the pushback, but he was just so smooth. And I almost went into this with players that I would like to see play again that, just recently ended it. But
no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm going to put him in the team only because I'm not sure we've got a lot. Now, okay, how about you're going to throw Nacho Piatti out there? Can I suggest that maybe Diego Valeri is a better choice than Nacho Piatti? Diego Valeri is a couple years younger. Last played in 2023. That was his last season with the Timbers. Well, he may have retired officially with the Timbers, but I don't know if he played that year. So the problem is, unless Jones is playing as our holder here, and I'm not sure I trust him positionally to do so, it's tough to have Piatti and Valeri in our team. A couple of Argentine maestros like that. That's kind of tough. But okay, for the moment, maybe we put Diego Valeri in here.
Is he more responsible, you think?
Well, Valeri and Piatti are attacking players, so we need some balance here. Who's playing as the holding midfielder in this team? That's what I need to know.
I think that you called this out before we started recording, just conversationally. I think the natural answer is one Michael Bradley.
Oh, Michael Bradley playing as a holder. Okay, all right. So does that mean I'm dropping Piatti or Valeri? Do we have a vote?
Rock, paper, scissors it's 1 versus 1 here. We can't go to the chat.
No, we can't. We can't take it. We can't take an impromptu poll. And we have limited time. You and I have a meeting in about 10 minutes, so we're gonna have to figure this out.
So you're claiming the age thing. So maybe if we're sticking closer to the recently retired, we put Bradley in over Piatti. It hurts me to do that, but
okay.
I'll take your ageist approach to this.
Okay. It's an ageist approach to say that maybe 40-year-old Ignacio Piatti is a not as good of a choice as Michael Bradley or as Diego Valeri. Seriously, that's what you're okay.
I'll stand up for the 40-year-olds. We get at least 15 good minutes in us, and maybe he can rack up the score so much in that 15 minutes that it doesn't matter.
Here is a point in your column. In the history of the U.S. men's national team, Michael Bradley and Jermaine Jones playing together did not always work. So that is a thing.
Fair.
That is a thing.
But okay, I guess if one is, yeah.
Okay, but we're not.
Actually, I gotta say, I just had a nightmare of Michael Bradley dropping in between our center backs and just like slowing everything down. And
come on, he's a great. He's a great distributor of the ball from that position. Let's not besmirch the name of Michael. I know he got a bad reputation because of what happened in Cuba, but man, that is tough.
I shuddered. I just shuddered for a moment there thinking about that. But another name I thought kind of in lines with Sasha and those other guys who joined the Des Moines Menace, kind of being freshly retired and new to television. I'll throw in Mike Grella.
Mike Grella. Where's Mike Grella playing in this team? He's playing as we're going to make him a wing back?
Left. I was going to say put him on that left side.
Okay, well, if we switch this to a 4-back system, we have 3 center backs on the field right now, although Lorenowitz can play in the midfield. And maybe if you're playing, tough to get Valeri could go up top alongside Drogba, but now we don't have Clint Dempsey in our team. If we think Clint Dempsey.
Okay, so is Clint Dempsey still Open Cup suspended from his red card back in the day?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think that has expired. But this is a Christmas tree. I don't know that this would necessarily work tactically. But we could play a Christmas tree. That definitely
makes my head hurt.
Does it?
I mean, that's like when I had an 8-year-old team. It's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah. So I do believe he's technically still active, which is a little bit disappointing because I would love to put him in our team. I believe Kamar Lawrence is playing
Ooh,
in
he was always
Westchester,
fun.
New York at this point in his career, which
He's doing it for the love. He's doing it
he
for
is
love. He can't give it up.
he does seem to be doing it for the love, Kamar Lawrence. Man, I really wish he was retired because I don't know if we have I told you we were going to have a problem with left back, and I think we do. I think we have an issue at left back. This is a Christmas tree. Maybe this isn't tactically sound. Maybe it needs to be, I don't know, something like this, where we drop Litteranowicz down here, we play Bradley here, Dempsey can go out on the right side, Drogba can play up top, and now we just still need a left back.
And we still need a left back.
And we still need a left back.
Bornstein?
I did. Johnny Bornstein is 40 years old, and I'm wondering if that's just a bridge too far. I already argued against one 40-year-old. Can I argue against another one? Or should we just say, whatever, he's in, let's go? I can't think of another recently retired.
Is there just
MLS
like a
left back.
left-sided attacker that could just be fun we just throw out there to just run around like a maniac down the left-hand side?
Yeah,
I mean, Kamar Lawrence, I don't think anyone's going to hang with him at the Open Cup. I mean, in his pomp, I mean, no one really hung with him.
Well,
at
so
MLS
I guess
MLS level.
Is Westchester technically an amateur side? So he would qualify under the amateur statute? Because that's what this is, right? These guys are retired. Therefore, they just have to sign paperwork to say, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm an amateur. I can play for this amateur team like Des Moines Menace. That's what this is all about. So if he's playing for Westchester SC, it does say professional on Wikipedia. Okay, I'm sorry. They're set to begin play this season. Are they playing right now in USL League One? Is that what's happening right now with Westchester SC? We're supposed to be up on our USL, Robert. We've been covering this story of
There's
what's
a lot
going on.
I was just going to say we're bombarded with news. So
They have played one game, Westchester SC. Kamar Lawrence still getting paid, whatever that might be, to play professional soccer. Their first ever match, looks like they drew with the Greenfield Triumph. Is that right? I got this? No, I'm sorry. And they actually just beat Motown, or FC Motown, in the Open Cup. That happened on Tuesday. Westchester beat Motown, FC Motown in the Open Cup. Kamar Lawrence started that game. So he is not eligible because he's still a pro. He's still active. We have 2 minutes to figure this out, Rob. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Can we do it? Do we want to leave this open and see if the people have a left back for us?
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so this is going into the Ko-Fi, or at least to start off with, it's going into our Ko-Fi to the people that are supporting with financial contributions. So, how about in the comments, fill in our left back?
Yeah, help us out because we're up against the deadline.
Or maybe another defensive mid, and we'll make it a 3-back system. But in the comments, guys, MK Ultras, find us our 11th player for our recent retiree 11. And don't forget that Des Moines did this because summer amateur teams, literally don't have any players available of their regular season squad at this time of the year here in March.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. I did see a little bit of a debate over on Blue Sky. People saying, "Hey, this isn't the spirit of the Open Cup. They shouldn't be allowed to do this." Maybe we have that debate at some point. Maybe that's what happens. All right, we have a meeting in like 1 minute, so we're going to tie this up. Thank you for watching this special bonus episode of Morning Kick Around. Rate our team. Could our team beat the Des Moines Menace? That's what I need to know. I want people to know to give us that thought as well. But are we done? You're good?
Yeah. Our ragtag group is almost complete. MK Ultras do the rest. And then until next time, everybody enjoy your soccer. And that was a special look at a Ko-Fi exclusive segment, picking the Ringer 11. Did we get a left back? I was looking in the comments from one of our Coffee subscribers that they were saying that DeMarcus Beasley should come out of retirement.
Yeah, that was our guy Mike Thomas. Our guy Mike Thomas is saying it's got to be DeMarcus Beasley. I love DeMarcus Beaslly. I love it. He's one of my favorite players of all time.
Yep.
I don't think he's got the wheels anymore. I don't think the fitness is good enough to run around against 20-year-olds. He's a club
owner now. What is he? Why would he want to risk that to play again? Right?
Yeah, right.
He's running Fort Wayne.
He's got stuff popping up in Fort Wayne. Yeah, interesting.
All right, guys. So there is more content coming exclusive to our coffee page. Go to coffee.com/morning kick around. You can just do a coffee's worth of money or maybe more, maybe something regularly scheduled to come, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever you can do. Coffee.com/morning kick around. And there's going to be some more content going up there. Thomas says, I believe. In
Mike
the
Thomas,
comments.
yeah. Shout out
There.
to Mike about DeMarcus Beasley. He believes DeMarcus Beasley could show up and be part of our ringer team and make a difference.
Yep. So follow along on, subscribe if you haven't already. Morning Kick Around on youtube.com. The numbers are growing, and be the next to do so, and get your friends to be the next after you. Morning Kick Around. Join the MK Ultras and help grow this conversation. You can follow along on social media at MKickaround, X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Write us an email, morningkickaround@gmail.com, and in the aforementioned coffee.com/morningkickaround. Bonus content there, and any funds that you can send our way will help us become sustainable, take care of our expenses, and maybe even help us grow and expand the production of this show. And search for us on your favorite podcast platform. We are a podcast now. Morning Kick Around as an audio offering. The second round of the Open Cup comes up, and the aforementioned Des Moines Menace take on Union Omaha. So an Iowa
tasty.
clash on Wednesday night.
What?
An Iowa clash.
It's in Iowa?
Union Omaha. Oh, Omaha, Nebraska. I got my Great Plains states. It's a Great Plains derby.
Wow, so many people in Nebraska offended right now. So many upset Nebraskans right now, Robert. Wow. That's where my grandmother was born. So, come on.
Heaven
Don't be
forbid
mean about
Grandma
Nebraskans.
Davis. My bad. I will.
No, that's Grandma Mirtha. Well, she was a Bradley, but then before that she was a Mirtha. It's a whole story. I don't want to get into it. Let's just move on.
I'll burn a stalk of corn as an apology for everyone out there. My bad.
All right.
But plenty of soccer to go until we see you again next on Wednesday morning. But until then, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.